Hey guys, in this chapter we're going to be building an image uploader. Alright, it's going to be called D&D Image Uploader, and basically it's just going to allow you to drag and drop images from your computer right into your browser, which will then process the image file or files and upload them to your uploads folder. Alright, but there's a few key things that we need to address. One is we're going to be using PHP to actually store the file. Alright, so when you upload it, it goes to a temporary directory, and then we're going to use PHP to actually move it to our uploads folder. Alright, and we can upload multiple images, we can drag them in, but since we're using PHP, and don't worry if you don't know any PHP, because the file is, the code we're going to be using is very small and easy. So, but the one thing is you need to have a server or some kind of local server to parse the PHP. And I would definitely suggest that if you're using Windows, that you use Xampp, which includes an Apache server. It includes MySQL, PHP, just a whole bunch of things. Most of the stuff that you would find on a remote web host using a shared hosting account. Alright, so to get Xampp, you want to go to apachefriends.org. Now, I'm not going to go through the installation. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you're using Windows, download the Windows version. You can also use the Linux or Apple version, and then just click install and go through the installer, and then you'll get a control panel. Where is it? Xampp control panel, and you should have at least the Apache server running, and we don't need, you don't need to run MySQL. We're not using a database, but you want to make sure Apache is running, and you want to install it as a service so that it runs on its own. So that initially there'll be a red X here. You just want to click that, make it green, so that it runs on its own. Alright, and that'll install PHP and all that other stuff on your machine. Now where you want to put your files is in your C drive. You should have an Xampp folder, and then in that you should see this htdocs folder. Now this is your server folder. Whatever you put in here, you can actually access through the browser. Alright, so if you put it in, let's just create a test file here. Alright, so I'm just going to say index.php. Actually, there already is a PHP there. Okay, so let's just call it test.php. Alright, so let's open that up, and if you know nothing about PHP, what it is, it's a server-side language, and it can interact with databases. It's just it's a full-fledged server-side programming language. And in a PHP file, you can also have HTML. Alright, so let's just say we'll put this in an H1 tag and save it. And now if we go to our browser, and to access anything in that htdocs folder, you want to type in localhost. Okay, so localhost / and we have our test PHP file right in the root directory, so we can just say test.php. Alright, and that parses the PHP. Well, we don't have any PHP in there, but it reads the HTML directly. Alright, so what we want to do is create a new folder inside of your htdocs folder, and I'm just going to call it I'll just call it DD Uploader. Alright, and just to try this out, let's just move that test file into the DD Uploader. And now to get to that, you want to say localhost / DD Uploader, or whatever you name the folder. Alright, so now it reads it in that folder. So this is where we're going to build our app. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of that test document, and let's set up our structure. Before we do that, Now we're going to be using something called the file drop plugin. It's a jQuery plugin which gives us upload capabilities through JavaScript and through jQuery. We're pretty much just going to include the file. So you actually want to download this filedropjs.org, and then down here you can click on this link right here, and it'll ask you to download filedrop-master, which is a zip document. Alright, so let's grab that. Alright, now it comes with a demo and some other stuff, but all we need is this filedrop.js. So let's grab that. We'll just copy that, and let's create a JS folder. Okay, so we'll throw that in there. We also want to create a main.js, and that's where our main custom JavaScript will go. Alright, now we also want a CSS folder because we're going to make a nice little interface. We need an uploads folder, and this is where all of our images will go. And also an images folder for the interface. Now we want a index.html file, and we also want a PHP file. Okay, so we're just going to call this upload.php. Alright, so in our CSS, we're going to create a main.css file, and let's actually grab the file drop. Where is it? In the demo, I want to grab this normalized. Let me just check this out. Yeah. Alright, so I want to grab this normalized document. Put that in there as well. Now we also have some images for the interface. So in our images, I'm just going to copy them over, and you should find these in your program files for this chapter. So let me just drop these in, and we'll just view them as icons. You can see we just have the background. We have a blue line for a progress line as the uploading processes, and then we just have a check mark. Alright, so you want these three images. And let's see, that looks good. Uploads folder should be empty, and that looks good for our structure, our file and folder structure. So let's go ahead and open up the HTML file with Notepad. Alright, and I'm just going to paste in a shell for an HTML5 document, and let's see, for the title we're going to call this D&D image uploader. Alright, now we need to connect all our files, so we'll do our CSS, style sheet, and we're first going to include that normalize.css file. And let's see, type alright, and we also have our main.css file. So let me copy this. Okay, so that's the CSS. The JavaScript we're going to connect in down in the body. Alright, so down here, the first thing we want to do is include jQuery, because we won't be able to use the file drop plugin if we don't. And I'm just going to use a CDN. So if we go to the jQuery website, down here, where is it? If we click on download jQuery, you can download it and include it in your structure, but I'm just going to use the CDN. Alright, so I'm going to just copy this here, and that'll include it remotely. Alright, and then we want to link our custom JavaScripts. First, let's do the file drop plugin. And let me just check what that's called. Okay, it's just file drop.js. Okay, and then we just want our custom JavaScript file as well. And that's called main. Alright, so that's all of our files. Now the HTML is very simple and very small. Let me just indent these. Okay, so we're going to have a header. So we'll use the HTML5 header tag. And the header is basically just going to contain an h1 tag. Alright, and then let me just space this out a little. And then after the header, we're going to use the HTML5 main tag. Alright, and then in there we're going to have a div with the ID of pickbox. Okay, so that just represents the box where we drag the images. We need that ID to use in the Jquery. And then we're just going to include a span, and this is basically just going to have the background image. Okay, that's what we're going to use to insert the actually, you know what, it's not a background image. We're just going to insert it as an inline image. So image src, and it's in the images folder, and it's called back.png. And we might as well just include some alt text. We'll just say upload image. Okay, so that'll show if for some reason the browser can't find the image file. And we're wrapping the span around it because we're going to need to grab onto it later. Alright, so that's it for our HTML. Like I said, very small. Most of the work is going to be within JavaScript and then some in PHP. So let's just take a look at this. It's not going to be much. So we want to go to localhost /dd uploader. Alright, so it's just our title, background image. That's pretty much it. We're going to stop this section, and in the next section we'll create the CSS to make this look a little better.